How's it going, people? Simon Slapper here, and this is the brand new World Wakes Quest, and this is your guide. Good times! So, without further ado, let's get this on the go, shall we? So, to start off with, quest requirements. You only need 140 combat level. That is the minimum requirement. Although, if you wish to unlock all of the rewards from this quest, you will be needing 90 Prayer, 70 Slayer, 74 Firemaking, Ritual of the Majorat, the Chosen Commander, Firemaker's Curse, Void Stays Back, and Branches of Darkmire complete. So yeah, quite a hefty requirement. Item wise though, there's not actually any item requirements, but I would recommend bringing along quite a lot of food, some decent armor, a weapon obviously, some of your stat boosting potions, and a Penantor is also incredibly useful. Whether you bring overloads, extremes, or just normal supers, up to you, whichever you can best use. That is pretty much it. For this I did use mage, but you can use whatever type of combat you wish, although range or mage was probably the better option. So to start this, head east of Ardone and you'll find this archaeologist here. Tell him you are famous, and then tell him you just need to open the door. At which point you can then accept this quest. Good times. So, as soon as you finish talking to him, go ahead and crack open this door. So quickly skip through his text, you can read it if you wish, but I'm going to skip through it. First off, examine the blade on the table just to your right, then examine the dusty parchment up in the southeast corner, and finally examine the runes on the north wall, the stone carvings. So as soon as you do that, you'll have another cutscene and the door will open. So go ahead and head on through the door. There will be a little butterfly thing right in front of you. Go ahead and examine it. As soon as you do, you'll have another little chat. And eventually you will activate it. As soon as you do, you'll have another little cutscene. So head on through, and at this point we're going to be killing the very first monsters of this quest. They're all fairly high level, they use all three sides of the combat triangle, but if you're using any kind of range attack, then this will be a fairly simple fight. Word of warning, these things do have a special attack, which they will create shockwaves all around them. If you are actually standing inside that, you will take an insane amount of damage, and you will very likely be KO'd if you stay there for any period of time. So if you're meleeing, you will be running back and forth using hit and run tactics, so one hit, run away, one hit, run away. If you're using any form of range combat, first things first, take out the meleeer, as soon as he's taken out, you no longer have to worry about any of the earthquakes at all. So just try and keep your distance from him. As you can see there, I'm standing in one of the earthquakes and I'm taking 1k damage at a time. It is fairly hefty. As soon as you've taken out the meleeer, you're pretty much safe if you're ranging. Just go ahead and attack the rest outside of their earthquake zone. Nice and simple. They're fairly straightforward. You won't take a massive amount of damage here. You can use protection prayers. So if you're using range, then you can protect from range if you wish. And if you're using mage, protect from range again. If you're meleeing, protect from magic would probably be your better option. But as soon as you've killed them all, you'll have another little cutscene. And the Majorat Silk will appear. Go ahead and choose option 3, do your worst. Ask him how he knows this, option 2. Then say OK then, option 1. You'll then have this lengthy cutscene. I will be skipping through all of these, as you don't particularly need to see this. Obviously, if you do like to read all the cutscenes and stuff, pause the video and just wait around for a bit and catch up again. So eventually you'll get back here, go ahead and choose option 1. What do you gain from telling me about this? Then tell him option 2, how do I fit into this? Then I already know my decision, option 1. I'd better get going then, option 2. At which point Armadillo and the rest of the Godwall bosses will appear. So this will now be the second fight straight after this cutscene. We will actually be fighting Armadillo. You can actually melee him in here, unlike in God Wars. So if you're using melee, you can use that. This boss is fairly straightforward. The only thing you need to be wary of is there'll be little tornadoes flying about the room, and if you actually get caught by those, you'll be taking a lot of damage. To start the fight, just say sorry, I can't leave here, and he'll start attacking you. Go ahead and lay into him. He is fairly straightforward. Just be careful of the tornadoes flying about the room. The blue tornadoes seem to go in a linear path. They won't actually stray from it, they'll just keep going back and forth. However, the yellow ones seem to track you for a little while, so you will need to run away from them. And partway through the fight, he will do this, which kind of summons all the tornadoes towards him, so make sure you're out of the way, and then he'll blast them back out again. But the boss is fairly straightforward. If you're using a range attack, then just do what I'm doing here. Just avoid the tornado and range while you're doing it. If you're using melee, then you'll be needing the hit and run tactic again, so back and forth, hitting him, run away, hit him, until the tornado leaves you alone. And that's pretty much it for this fight. Just lay into him and avoid the tornadoes in a nutshell. So as soon as Armadillo is dead, he'll leave and we can move on. So head on through the eastern door. So all you'll do is head through this little cutscene, and Ziliana and Kriara will just leave. Well, not Kriara, Krill Suatarth even. soon as they've disappeared, head over to the eastern side of this room, and there'll be a control panel just on the side. Go ahead and try to activate it. So as soon as you try to use it, all the Guthix followers will appear. Choose option 1, Guthix is in trouble and we need to save him. And as soon as you finish talking to them, go ahead and use the control panel again. So we now need to solve a puzzle. First things first, we need to get this top right hand ball towards the centre. To do this, follow exactly what I do on screen to make the pathway for it. There's no easy way for me to explain this, so it's best to just watch. If you can't keep up at the same time, don't worry, wait until I've fully completed the first puzzle and you can simply pause the video and copy what I've done. So at this point, pause the video and just follow exactly what I've done and follow this pathway here. But as soon as you've done that, go ahead and push the ball out. Be careful of the little white parts as they do actually cycle over, same as this little track right in front of us here. The ball will stop just before them. To make it move again, simply click on it and open the gates and it'll keep on heading away. You don't need to worry about the yellow ones. When you go over them, they'll cycle backwards once as like a pressure plate, and simply let the ball go all the way through to the end. If you happen to fail, no need to worry, you can just call out another ball. So that's one part done. On to the second part. We now need to get this bottom right piece up to the very top left. So, same as last time, there's no easy way for me to explain this, so please just follow the video. If I'm going too fast for you and you can't keep up, just simply pause the video once it's fully complete. So, at this point, pause the video and follow this pathway here, and this will allow us to get to the next section. Go ahead and activate this bottom right hand corner, and the ball will start rolling towards it. It'll pause just before this little vector, or escalator, I'm not really sure what you want to call it. Either way, it'll stop by here, wait until it's pointing to the left, and then release the ball. As soon as you've done that, that's it. So that's the second part complete. Good times. So for the third part, we now need to get the ball in towards the centre pocket here. So for this, we need to take the top left one, and we'll be using this one to get towards the centre. So as before, same as usual, I'll head through this now on video, so just simply follow this. If I'm going too fast, simply pause it once the track is complete, and do it then. So simply follow this track here, fix this little part here, pause the video now, and this is the path you want to follow. Simply copy this and you should be good to go. So as soon as you're ready, activate the top left side and the ball will go through. It'll stop just before the white thing. Go ahead and let it through once it's straight, and same as usual, it'll stop just before this second white section. Go ahead and let it through once it's straightened up. And that's pretty much it for the third part. So for the fourth and final part, we need to get the ball to this eastern side here. And we do need to use the southwestern side. So go ahead and follow this pathway here. As usual, if I'm going too fast for you, no worries, simply pause the video once the track is complete and you can sort it out then. So that's pretty much it. Go ahead and pause the video. This is the track you want to follow. It's fairly long, but as soon as you've got that set up and ready, go ahead and activate the southwest side. As usual, the ball will stop just before this little white section. Go ahead and let it through once it straightens up. It'll stop just before this little escalator part as well. Allow it once the arrows are pointing to the west. It'll stop before the next white section. Go ahead and let it through. And then finally it'll stop just before this last little arrow, little escalator. Once the arrows are going in the right direction, let it through, and that's it. Job done. As soon as you've done that, the door will now open. So you'll have another lengthy cutscene here. I'm going to quickly skip through it. So as soon as the cutscene is over, you'll be approached by these little doll things. Either way, just simply skip through it all and you'll find out he's actually part of Guthux's crew. And he'll walk away. At this point we now need to check the door on the far east. Now this part is quite annoying, it may take a little bit of time. Hopefully you'll get the same questions I have. So for the first one, you want to introduce more resources. For the second one, you want to tell them to use more drastic tactics. For the third one, tell them to do nothing. And for the final one, you need to encourage the warlords to reach a truce. As soon as you've done that, you should hopefully complete it. If for whatever reason you have different questions to me, the idea is you need to balance out the 4 little bars there, which is order, chaos, good and evil. You just need to make them all equal, which is pretty much trial and error. But as soon as you do that, you'll have this big ass cutscene, and it's time to assign troops to different floors, as you're about to enter a mini little God Wars. So as soon as you get options, go ahead and choose whichever you want. I don't think it actually matters which you choose, to be totally honest, as everyone seems to have chosen different options. But go ahead and try and boost the morale of your troops, so tell them about their strengths, tell them about the enemy's weaknesses, and then tell them you're with them. Something along those lines. And as soon as you've done that, you now need to assign your troops. So you want to assign the left hand side up to the left panel, so death in the left. You want the turtle and cricket in the second position. You want the fairies in the third, and the golems in the fourth. Just follow us on screen here if you're unsure. As soon as you've done that, go ahead and talk to Juna and tell her you're happy with the formation. And as soon as you do, the fights will start. So after this lengthy cutscene, if at this point you need food or you need to bank, you can bank right now. There is a bank in this room. Simply talk to the banker, simple as that. Go ahead and get out all of the food in your inventory, as you will be taking a fair amount of damage, especially if you're a lower level. So first things first, head over to Death's Door and head on through, and we'll start off by fighting Grador. So for this, go ahead and protect from melee and use any stat boosting prayers you have, and simply lay into him. Best option to kill Grador is probably with mage. It is possible with range and melee as well. Soon as you see him do this little action, where he kind of kneels down, rocks will start to fall from the ceiling. At this point, if you're using mage or range, your best bet is to keep moving and attack every now and then. This way you will avoid taking any damage from the boulders, but you can keep dealing damage to Grador. Each of these boulders do about 770-ish damage, give or take. So if you're meleeing, it will be hit and run tactics similar to before against the golems and Kriara. Either way, that is the tactics for this fight in a nutshell. Other than that, you simply just have to lay into him when he's not dropping rocks on you. When he says Grador smash as well, you need to move, because he does do that little kneel down move, and if you stay in one place, you'll take constant high damage. So as soon as you've beaten him, he'll retreat, at which point we now need to leave the room. So head on out through the southern door. If at this point you still need more food, then you can go ahead and bank now. It's in the centre of the room. If you happen to die fighting any of these bosses, no need to worry, your grave will appear just outside the archaeological dig site just east of Adi, so you can pick up all of your gear there pretty easily and well within the time limit. But head on towards the second room where they were shaking in the little cutscene, and we now need to fight Zamorgul. So as soon as you start fighting him, you'll see these portals scattered about the room. You need to kill off these before you can deal any damage to the boss himself. At this point, it doesn't matter which kind of combat you're using, this boss is fairly straightforward. Use whatever protection prayers or soul split you feel is necessary, so protect from whatever the opposite you are actually attacking with. So if you're using melee, protect from mage. If you're using range, protect from melee. If you're using mage, protect from range. Simple as that. Follow the combat triangle. Your best option is to use soul split though, if you do have access to it, as it will keep you healed that much more. If you do have your penance aura, I would highly recommend activating it, as this will save you quite a bit on your prayer, and you won't need to bring hardly any prayer pots, if any at all. As soon as you've killed off the portals, Zamorgul is now vulnerable to attack, so go ahead and lay into him. After you've dealt a fair amount of damage to him, about a third of his health, give or take, you will then summon some more portals again. Throughout the fight you'll see these little purple portals popping up. Go ahead and kill them. This will just save you a bit of extra damage. So Zamorgul is actually a fairly easy fight. The only thing that takes quite a while is literally killing off these portals. Other than that, that is the tactic for this boss in a nutshell. Doesn't matter what type of combat you're using. So as you can see, there's now 4 portals on the floor. You just need to kill these off and you can then attack Zamorgul again. and you'll summon those purple portals or pink portals throughout the rest of this fight, but that is pretty much it. I didn't see him summon any more of these blue portals throughout the rest of the fight, so I assume this is probably the last time he does it. So as soon as the portals are down, Zamorgul is now weak to attack again, so simply attack him and finish him off. So as soon as Zamorgul's down, you now need to leave the room again. So head back into the main chamber, exit through the southern door again. And at this point, if you need food, go ahead and bank. You don't actually need any other items at this point. The next boss, however, is going to be Krill's Surathoth, so I would probably recommend taking Mage, as that will be probably the most effective attack pattern you can actually use. Although using melee and range is just as effective, and you can still get the job done using those. But as soon as you're ready, head into this door here, the same one you've seen in that little cutscene, and go ahead and kill Krill's Surathoth. Protect from melee and use any stat boosting praise you need, and simply lay into him. The only thing you need to be wary of while fighting Krill is occasionally he'll say something along the lines of "Zamorak, give me strength." As soon as he says that, move out of the way, as he'll start bringing out stalagmites from the floor like that, and if you happen to be standing in place while that happens, you'll be taking constant 700s to 1000 damage per second. That is the only thing you need to be wary of while fighting this boss. So this one should be fairly straightforward. I doubt you'll take very much damage from this fella. And I'm leaving all these bosses in at normal speed, simply for the fact that those of you interested in watching this before you do the fight itself can see everything that happens. As soon as you get him down to about quarter health, you'll start attacking fairly rapidly and fairly accurately, and you'll start using a mixture of magic and melee, and you will hit roughly 400 to 500 damage on average, although it may be slightly more depending on your armor rating. But it is fairly quick to get him out from that quarter HP to death, so you shouldn't have too many problems. As soon as he's dead, head back out to the door and into the central chamber. At this point, if you need food, go ahead and bank. It's in the center of the chamber again. If not, go ahead and make your way into the next room. This boss is probably the hardest one throughout this actual quest, and is actually a Nacra. The reason why this boss is hard is simply for the fact that she constantly heals herself, which makes the fight last quite a long time. Protect from magic is probably your best bet, although if you have Soul Split, I'd highly recommend using that instead. You can use whatever type of combat you wish against her, she's fairly weak to everything. It just takes a long time to wipe right because of the healing. One thing to note while fighting this boss is you will need the ability Freedom from the defense tree. The reason for this is occasionally she'll teleport towards you and hold you down, or if you're meleeing and standing next to it, she'll kind of stun you and throw you to the floor. While that's happening, you'll take constant damage and she'll constantly heal. Although if you use Freedom, you'll be able to get up straight away and avoid all of that. Other than that, that is pretty much every single attack pattern an Acra has. So it's quite simply a matter of just whittling away at her health. This is the attack here where you need to use Freedom. As you've seen, she teleported straight on top of me and simply pinned me to the floor. Just use Freedom and you'll be released from it straight away. Nice and easy. So eventually you'll be able to kill an Acra. Good times. As soon as you've done that, go ahead and exit through the southern door yet again. And that's it for the big boss fights for the rest of this quest. So congratulations. But there's still more to do. At this point, if you're using magic and you happen to be on ancients, I'd recommend using barrage. If you're not, then range would probably be a good choice for the AoE skills. Melee similarly for your AoE skills again. As soon as you exit, you'll notice all of the Saradomin followers are here and starting a war. Go ahead and talk to Crest, standing in the centre of the battlefield. And basically for this next section, you'll see Juna here is barricaded by like a wooden fortress even. You'll notice that the Saradomin followers will keep appearing out of these three portals. The idea is you need to prevent Saradomin's followers from attacking the barricade, breaking through and killing Juna. All you need to do this is simply hit the enemies once and they'll pay attention to you and ignore the fortress. So one hit, simple as that. The reason why barrage is so useful is because if you can catch them just as they're coming out of the portal, you can attack all of them at once straight away, which does save you a bit of hassle. If the barricades start to go down for whatever reason, you can actually repair them. So you can simply just click on it and you'll repair the fortress, or the barricades themselves, and you should be able to keep Juno alive. It's fairly straightforward, there's not much to this. The enemies aren't exactly strong, they have about 1000 health give or take, so you can typically one-shot them if you're a fairly high level. But I would recommend either mage or range simply for the quicker attack speed, or some very quick melee weapons. If you need to leave to get weapons, you can leave now, and as soon as you enter the archaeology site again, you'll appear back in this room, so no need to worry. This fight is actually a timed fight, so all you simply have to do is keep Juno alive long enough. You can see the bars at the top left, it shows you Juno's health and the time left for the rest of this fight. As soon as the time hits full, and as long as Juno still has some health left, you'll complete it and you can move on to the next section. So I'll leave this in here at normal speed, so you won't have to pause the video, and you can also see what's happening without me speeding it up. So it allows you to get a good idea of what's actually going to be happening for this little section. So, as soon as you've managed to complete it, you'll be greeted with a cutscene and Ziliana will kill Cress. Bad times. But simply skip through them and we can finally move on. At this point, Zaros will enter, or Alexandra, and you'll now be given a choice. At this point, it is entirely up to you which one you want to choose. You can either choose to follow Guthix, follow Zaros, or do whatever the hell you feel like personally. So either way, personally I sided with Zaros because I do like the mage, and Zaros is a mage, so good times. So head on through the options. It's entirely up to you what you choose. As far as I know, there's almost no difference whatsoever depending on your choices. The only difference is when you head through this room right now. If you happen to have sided with Guthix, then you'll be attacked by fireballs and attacks from necks and stuff as you're running through. But if you happen to side with Zaros, then you'll get rocks falling from the sky like this, and these massive purple spheres. Either way, depending on which one you choose, avoid them, as the purple spheres will pretty much deal 1,700 damage per second. The rocks will deal about 1k damage, and it's the same with Nexus fireballs and stuff. You do take a fairly chunky amount of damage, so it's best to avoid them as best as possible. If you happen to get trapped in here like I have, you can simply break the stalagmites and you can simply move on. As soon as you reach the end, you'll have a little cutscene and you'll finally meet Guthix. So head on down towards Guthix, exactly where Zaros was just standing. And quickly skip through it, and you'll eventually appear in Guthix's realm. So once you're here, head on through all the text dialogue with Guthix, and he'll keep teleporting to different islands. It's a linear path, there's no special way to go, there's no maze or anything, it's a one-way street. So head on up, and eventually you'll run into Guthix again, skip through, rinse and repeat about 7 times. And this is pretty much the end of the quest, so congratulations in a nutshell. So as I said, just keep heading through, skip through Guthix's text and keep running. Or if you wish to read it, you can always read it, that's entirely up to you. But I will be skipping. Eventually you'll appear up in Guthix's home. So go ahead and enter, and at this point you now have multiple choices. It's entirely up to you which you choose. It's different for everybody, there is no right or wrong answer. I'm assuming this will probably affect later quests. So personally I said no problem, I'll save the world. As soon as you've made your choice, Guthix will die, and you'll appear back on the pedestal. At which point you'll then be confronted by Saradomin. Tell them the world is unprotected. And again, it's entirely up to you what choices you choose here, as it's literally multiple choice. At which point Saradomin will teleport in. So again, for this little section, it's entirely up to you what options to choose, as it doesn't actually have a massive impact. There's no right or wrong answer at this point. I'm assuming all of these will play a role within the next series of these quests, but until then we don't know what choices will actually do. So personally, I said I'll use the power however I see fit, and that I haven't decided who to support, and that I don't particularly trust Saradomin. As soon as you've done that, you'll instantly run over to June and start talking to her. If you have room in your inventory, then that is it, quest complete. If not, you may need to eat some food and make some room. But for completing the quest, you get 3 quest points, 250k prayer lamp, as long as you got 80 prayer, 110k XP slayer lamp, as long as you got 70 slayer, 3 100k XP lamps, and 3 50k XP lamps, as well as Azandra's gift, which is a cosmetic top. And if you happen to have done all the full requirements, you'll also gain the 6th Age Circuit, which is a ring almost as good as the Onyx Eye, so good times. You'll also gain the World Guardian title, and you also gain access to the Cresbots within this new dungeon. Additionally, if you wish to get a little bit of fire making XP, you need 74 fire making. If you head down to the shrine and light the torches or the fires down there, you'll gain a large chunk of fire making XP. Other than that, that's pretty much it for this quest. So that's the first version of the God quests, I guess. That is the World Wakes done and dusted. Guthix is dead, bad times. Other than that, pretty decent rewards though. Gotta be honest, the Onyx Eye equivalent is pretty tasty. So, until next time, I will catch you all later.